Wouldn't be no fun if I didn't have to edit. Hello and good evening, nerds. It is I, His Holiness, your brother Jay, the movie monk, the Bishop of Bull Moose, the choir boy of Criterion. They're going to demote me soon. I haven't bought any Criterions this month to celebrate yet, but the sale is still going on. The month is young, so I ain't too worried about that. I'll catch up with y'all fools. Anyway, thank you guys for clicking on the movie mass and doing the right thing, okay? I hope you continue to do the right thing. Hit the buttons. I can't believe it's already the middle of November. So you know what time it is. Maybe you don't. I'm here to tell you. It's time for the Chop Socky vibe check. And you can tell by these Twin Tiger hook stores that I'm vibing pretty hard. My kids better not wake up tonight. Thought about making them do some training. I can't believe I haven't whacked this camera yet. Anyway, it's Chop Socky November, y'all. Y'all already know I might be out here on my own doing it by myself, but I don't care. I'm having a great time, and that's what I'm here to talk to you about today, is all of the fine Chop Socky Hong Kong films that I have watched since the beginning of November, since I started this silly challenge, if it even qualifies as a challenge. More of a theme, right? It's less of a challenge and more of a theme. It's not a challenge. Challenge is like making a lady come, right? That's a challenge. My own inadequacies aside, one thing that I have not been inadequate in my opinion at least this month, is watching Chop Socky films. I haven't watched a single horror film yet. I was a little tempted by Frankenstein, guys, but I have stuck to my guns. I've utilized the discipline that made me a fourth-degree black belt, and therefore, I have not watched any horror films yet this month, and so I feel pretty good about that. I have been watching a ton of Chop Socky movies. I hope you guys have too, and I'm here to tell you which Chop Socky movies I've watched, what I thought, and maybe you're going to go out and watch a Chop Socky movie tonight, and maybe I can help guide you in the right direction. That is my Buddhist duty. Buddhist duty? Buddhist booty? Booty booty. Anyway, listen, guys, it's mid-November, and these edibles are kicking in, so I better pour this on it real quick and help the booze catch up. First film I watched so far this month is the Tai Chi Master. This one's part of the Hong Kong Cinema Classics line. It came in that large Jet Li box set. This is one of the films that I can't believe we ever got this one on a 4K. I have loved this film since the mid-90s. I had a buddy from Taiwan who went to my middle school, made friends with him in 8th grade, and you know, as we were vibing, of course, we shared our favorite movies, and this is one of the films that he showed me, and I was blown away. I mean, obviously, I was young. I didn't know dick about shit, to be perfectly honest with you, but I thought this was a sweeping epic of grand proportions. I loved this film, and I still love this film. I'm surprised that we got it on a very nice-looking 4K. I wouldn't say it looks quite as good as something like Hard Boiled for comparison, but it looks very nice. It looks way better than the Tai Chi Master has any right to look. This, I think objectively is not the greatest film, but it holds a dear place in my heart. So I wanted to start this month with my dick all the way out, and I think the Tai Chi Master goes hard. Not only is it a Jet Li starring film, it's also got a supporting performance from Michelle Yeoh. And as we know, nowadays, you know, in today's day and age, Michelle Yeoh is a big name. I mean, this is an Academy Award-winning actress at this point, and she's been in a whole host of films in both Hong Kong as well as the West, and co-productions. Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, she's well known for that. She was in a Bond movie, for Christ's sake. So not only does it star, and she looks young in this film too. You know, you put this on and watch it, and you're like, holy shit. Dang, man, where'd them wrinkles go? Anyway, this was also directed by the guy who did all of the action choreography for the original Matrix trilogy. That is Yuen Ping. He's done a bunch of work in Hong Kong, directorial efforts as well as fight choreography. But I have always enjoyed and appreciated Yuen Ping's fight choreography. But anyway, I have to highly recommend the Tai Chi Master. Now, since my dick was all the way out for the Tai Chi Master in 4K, I decided I'm not putting that back. I'm keeping it out. It's staying out. So it stayed out, definitely stayed out for, gosh, I hope I get away with showing you this. Black Cat. The next movie I watched was Black Cat Part 1. I'm pretty sure that's just that's like a drawing of a side boob. I'm pretty sure I can show you this. I'm not extremely worried, but y'all already know. Vinegar Syndrome, this is a VSA release. Y'all know Vinegar Syndrome can really get kind of out of pocket with some of their cover art. And, you know, she's butt naked on the cover. I actually expected, because of this cover and this drawing, right? It's a drawing. YouTube, calm down. It's just a drawing. Yeah, it's artwork. And it's just a little side boob. I don't think there's any nip. I could put on my glasses and try and see. I don't think there's any nip, even if it is. This is what we call fine art. Have you been to the Louvre? You're gonna see some tits if you go to an art museum, guys. It's a painting. Paintings very frequently have tits out, as they should. So I watched Black Cat, and you know, it's got the La Femme Nikita vibe. Black Cat is one of those Hong Kong films that when you look back on it in hindsight, you think, why did I watch this sober? And then you think, that movie made absolutely no fucking sense. There is very little explanation for the on-screen events that I just watched unfold. And yet, I enjoyed them so much, I don't really mind. Thinking back on Black Cat, we know that it's if you've looked at Wikipedia, you know that it was meant as a straight up Hong Kong remake of La Femme Nikita. So the similarities make sense. And yet, this film it just throws everything at you with no sense of explanation. It gets starting off like rip-roaring, starting off at a wild pace in the beginning. I mean, you're not 3 minutes into the movie before some violently abusive trucker is trying to coerce our main character into essing his D in the parking lot of a truck stop. Not 3 minutes into a movie. This movie gets off to a wild start, and I think they just figured maybe if we go fast enough, if we throw so much stuff at the viewer, they'll never notice that none of it connects and none of it makes sense. It's a fun movie. Don't mistake this for a good movie. It's Vinegar Syndrome Archive, after all. It's not a good movie in a technical sense or a critical sense. It is a very enjoyable movie. It's wild. They train this broad to be a killing machine. She's almost like a Terminator in some way. She's got a microchip implanted in her brain, which they never really explain. Doesn't really let her do bionic man shit until you get to Black Cat Part 2. And I know I can show you this one. She's in underwear right there. And that's not even a thong. Those are granny panties. That's perfectly safe. A painting of a lady wearing granny panties is perfectly safe to put on YouTube, okay? You might not see granny panties at the Louvre. And I think that's for the best as well. Anyway, Black Cat 2 was the next film that I watched after watching Black Cat 1. You gotta watch the sequel, right? I think Black Cat 1 was enough fun, and it certainly left you hanging at the end. Like, you know there's gonna be a sequel. It was a very cliffhanger ending of the first one. Also a very, like, the CIA is the bad guys type of story, which I do enjoy and appreciate, because I don't like those guys. Maybe I shouldn't be saying that on the internet. Anybody can watch this, right? I'm not worried, they're already listening to me. I got my cell phone right here. Boom, they can hear all of this. Man, I hope my FBI guys sub to my YouTube. Anyway, Black Cat Part 2 is definitely not as good as the first one. Black Cat Part 2 makes a lot of changes despite being made by the same filmmakers. It's got the same actress. I believe it's got the same writer and director. I'm pretty sure it's got the same director. Anyway, the edibles are hitting, guys. Black Cat 2 is just, they make some changes to the character. She's maybe even more of a Terminator. They show a few point of view shots, and it's very, you know, there's like a very like early 90s kind of like Terminator style graphical user interface there that she's looking through, and it's like beep, 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 you know, that kind of thing. You get the sense that maybe she is a little bit less human than the first one, which doesn't, they didn't really explain the changes to her character. She's a lot more silent, a little bit messed up in the head, like a lot more PTSD. I mean, she was very PTSD in the first one too, but in this one, she really allows it to cloud her judgment. She shoots an innocent 72-year-old lady in the forehead because she mistook the old lady for some kind of criminal who can disguise himself really well. So I guess you would disguise yourself as some kind of old lady, like, you know, Mission Impossible style, where they peel off the thing and it's not them. Anyway, shoots her right in the head in a crowded mall with her daughter. That was, anyway, I had a little bit more of an icky feeling watching Black Cat 2. Not quite as good as the first film, although still a lot of fun if you like violence and action. And there's not a lot of, I expected a lot more nudity in the Black Cat films. I did expect these to feature a lot more nudity. I really don't think, I mean, there's a few shots where she's like running in a pair of underwear. You know, you'd see that much in a Victoria's Secret catalog or a Sears catalog. Shoot. Now, I kept my dick out because guess what showed up after I watched Black Cat Part 2 a day or two later? My copy of Hard Boiled landed, y'all. Look at that gold. Look at that gold glimmer and gleam. I like that. That's something I like about this Hong Kong Cinema Classics line is they did pretty good with the gold, the gold insignias there. It looks very classy. I dig it. This is a phenomenal 4K. I said that in a recent video, so I try not to repeat my praise of this film, but it looked phenomenally good. It looked wonderful. I just wanted it in print. You know, this is a film, a lot of these Hong Kong films have gone in and out of print. Now it's obviously physical media is just weirdos like us. That's cool, weirdos. Anyway, a lot of the stuff just kind of comes into print, goes out of print. They don't really keep Hong Kong cinema, of all things, in print and sitting there on the shelf at the Walmart or the Target anymore, like they might have done years ago. So thank goodness for Hong Kong Cinema Classics line, because they are doing the Lord's work, and it looks damn good. It looks damn good. I really enjoyed watching this one. This is another one that I hadn't seen in a long, long time. Black Cat 1 and 2 were blind buys for me. I'd never seen Black Cat 1 and 2. It had been a long time since I'd seen Hard Boiled. It was very, very cool to watch. It came back into stock very briefly on Groove. There was like a 24-hour period where it was back in stock. So it's gone again. Sorry, guys. It's not on Amazon either. I checked just before pressing record on the camera here. So just keep your eye on Groove. It came back in stock for like a day, and so it might come back into stock. Just keep your eye on Groove. You know, check Groove out once a day, and you might be able to snag you a copy of the limited edition of Hard Boiled, because I recommend it. It's very nice. The next film I watched is part of the Jackie Chan Blu-ray box set that was released by Criterion a couple of years ago. I've watched most of this box set, but I had not yet watched The Young Master. The Young Master being one of the six movies. And I'll be honest, this set really comprises early Jackie Chan films. Not all of them, mind you, but it is a good representation of the early part of his career as he was finding stardom before he became like a household name in China, well before he became a household name here in the United States. He was obviously building up his oeuvre of films. His star was on the rise. And so this box set represents, I think, a pretty good cross-section of that early work, which I will freely admit, I'm not the biggest fan of the period pieces involving Jackie Chan. I don't think that's really where his strength lies. The style of the period piece martial arts kung fu chop socky films of the 1970s, they have that very stylized cadence, and I don't think that like very rhythmic kind of thing was Jackie Chan's real forte. I think we wound up seeing his real forte in the early to mid 80s as he starts coming out with more modern urban fare like Police Story 2, Dragons Forever. We really start to see him really leaning into kind of that madcap sort of chaotic energy that he's got, and his ability to do all sort of crazy stunts. The Young Master is a film that I had watched many, many years ago. I don't think I'd seen it since the 90s because I got it on VHS, and I gotta say, I don't really think I cared much for it. But I also remember feeling like it was very melodramatic. It was very like serious. And I remember feeling like that was kind of weird for a Jackie Chan movie from 1980, that it would be so serious. But then, watching it back the other day, it was not very serious. I must have fallen asleep for the funny parts, because there's probably only one or two kind of serious parts in the first act, kind of setting up the conflict for the film. The rest of it's pretty standard Jackie Chan's, very silly, a lot of like visual sight gags, a little bit of like his character is just a numbskull, kind of a good-natured bumpkin. And it was an enjoyable film, I think. We're not there for the story. The story makes no sense in The Young Master, but the antagonist I thought was very, very a cool antagonist. You know, he wasn't this like old white-haired old man. He was an older guy. He definitely had the gray streaks in his hair. He was an older dude, and I thought he was very athletic. I thought the actor did a great job with like the athletic portrayal. There's no CGI. This is 1980 in Hong Kong. They had about $10 and a pile of fried rice to get this movie made, and that was it. So, you know, you're watching the guy move, and it's really the athleticism of the actor that's shining through in his performance. And I thought his martial arts performance was good. Like, you could tell that he'd really kind of trained and knew what he was doing. The bad guy really stood out as being very fast, very brutal, and just the actor seemed like a really well-trained martial artist and was really getting his balls out. He was really going balls out on The Young Master. So that was a fun one to check out. And, you know, I feel better now that I've watched all the movies in this set. Now, I'm sorry to end this video this way. I'm going in chronological order for what I've watched so far this month. The last and most recent film that I have watched so far this month is also my least favorite. I gotta say, it's not a good movie. Some of these movies, like Black Cat 1 and 2, especially Black Cat 2, are not good movies. We don't mistake them for good movies, but they're fun movies. They're bonkers. They're filled with insane set pieces, violence, crazy shit from out of nowhere. So they're a lot of fun. You can look back and think that was a shitty movie, but it was a fun, shitty movie. This movie doesn't really have the fun part to kind of make up for the sort of shitty part. It is Bodyguard from Beijing. This is another piece from that set of Jet Li movies. There's 5 Jet Li movies in that very first release from the Hong Kong Cinema Classics line. And so this came from that box set, and I gotta say, if it weren't included in that box set with some other films that I really love, I'm not sure. I don't know if I'd ever watch this again. I don't remember if I'd ever seen this, actually. I think I had assumed that I had seen this, but when I was watching this last night, I was thinking, oh, none of this is really coming back to me. Looking back on it, I'm not entirely sure that I have seen this, and if I've stated publicly that I have seen this, I must apologize and retract that statement, because I can't say that I've seen this before. I didn't really recognize any of this film. And I think that might hurt this film. I think for a lot of this Hong Kong cinema, for me personally, the draw is the nostalgia. When I was 15 and I was watching these movies, I was young and dumb, and I was ready to just accept whatever was on the screen. I was not a connoisseur yet. I was not a grizzled old man yet. I hadn't been jaded, chewed up and spit out by life, as I now have. And so it's hard for me to watch a blind buy like this and love it in the way that I love Tai Chi Master. I also have to be objective and admit that if I watched Tai Chi Master for the first time today, I'm not sure I would love it as I do. I was 15 the first time I saw the Tai Chi Master. So I love the Tai Chi Master, and that's baked into me forever. Even if I can objectively look at it and think, it's not a great movie. I love it, it's not a great movie. So my problem with Bodyguard from Beijing, there's a lot of plot threads that go nowhere. They really pull the main villain just out of their ass mid-movie. It really is kind of jarring that, you know, for the first bit of the movie, the antagonist is the crime boss who's trying to whack all of the witnesses to a murder that he's involved in. He doesn't want to get pinned for the murder and convicted. And 2 of the 3 witnesses have been murdered, and Jet Li has to protect the 24-year-old young broad that's clinging to him right there in that picture. He's got to protect her. Her name is Michelle, which keeps things easy for me, because that's an easy name for my white-ass mouth to pronounce. I have a hard enough time with English, right? I'm very happy when they have Western names in these movies. Anyway, Michelle, they want to kill her in the most wild of ways. Jet Li's got to protect her. And the crime boss, you're thinking he's going to be the bad guy, but then kind of midway through the movie, he stops showing up and making phone calls. And the brother of some guy that Jet Li shoots in a shootout decides that he's the main villain now. About midway through the movie, you get a little flashback of him and his brother in the Vietnam War, and he's like, I'm never gonna let anybody shoot at you again, you know? And now suddenly we have a villain that's mad because Jet Li killed an NPC during one of the third fight scenes of the movie or something like that. Anyway, the whole thing's silly. I feel silly even saying it right now. I feel silly talking about this. Do you feel silly watching this? I would. If I was watching this, I might feel silly watching this, just talking about Bodyguard from Beijing. See, I can't pronounce English. Just watching Bodyguard from Beijing, and a whole ass bad guy just shows up mid movie, and he's your average, action movie psychopath, crazy bad guy who's just he'll kill men, women, and children. He doesn't care, no scruples. He's a really terrible guy. And so we're supposed to root for Jet Li whipping his ass, which does eventually happen. But the whole thing just feels unearned and unexplained, and then just not even entertaining enough to distract us. The characters are all pretty one-dimensional. The Jet Li character is just, your average kind of Chinese communist ideal, lives for his duty. I mean, at least they tempted him a little bit with the Michelle character. At least that Michelle character was able to ruffle his feathers a little bit, because you could tell he was catching some feelings in some of their scenes, which was nice. They showed a little bit of how repressed he is. It's not that he's just this like sexless character, like he chopped his nuts off, like Wu-Tang, boom, cut his nuts off, and now he's like this sexless, like I'm just this communist ideal bodyguard, with no gender. He really was kind of like a dude on the inside. They sort of explored that, he was tempted by this Michelle chick, and he was like, yo, she good looking, I like to get with her, but also I'm a great warrior from Beijing, and I'm not supposed to pay any attention to my penis. This is wrong, people. Pay attention to the ding dong, all right? So I would just say that, that whole relationship winds up going nowhere. Sorry for the spoilers, but they really kind of get these plot threads going that go nowhere, and then they pick up plot threads that you didn't even know were there, and it's not even that impressive. It's more of a Jet Li doing like a John Woo thing. It was sort of Jet Li's version of Hard Boiled, basically. Jet Li does a lot more shooting than he does martial arts fighting. And I don't know about you guys, but I prefer to see Jet Li doing like martial arts, the kung fu stuff, the action, versus shooting. For an actor who is not a trained martial artist in the way Jet Li and Jackie Chan are, amongst others, Sammo Hung, Yun Bao, and other big names. I mean, even Western guys like Chuck Norris. I mean, guys who are trained martial artists who then become actors and movie stars, action heroes. I think you want to see them doing the kung fu. That's the stuff that they're really good at. Somebody who's not a trained martial artist, like Bruce Willis or John Travolta. I mean, you could put a gun in their hand and they become menacing hitmen, like John Travolta in Pulp Fiction, or Bruce Willis is an action hero in Die Hard and many others, and it's believable. It's the type of thing you go to a Bruce Willis film for. And so seeing Jet Li do the John Woo thing for most of the film, there is a little bit of, he does a little bit of kung fu stuff on a few people. But Bodyguard from Beijing is kind of a stinker, unfortunately. And yet it gets a 4K. I mean, there's a ton of martial arts films that I wish would get a 4K. Bodyguard from Beijing gets a 4K. It doesn't always work out like it should, people. There are tragedies in this world that still occur, and I would say Bodyguard from Beijing on 4K is one of those tragedies, albeit a small one, but it is a tragedy nonetheless. Look, the real tragedy is if you're not watching any Chop Socky movies this month. If you're not watching Chop Socky movies, man, I don't know what to tell you, dude. This is Thanksgiving. This is November. This is like the month for watching Chop Socky films, comforting, cozy films with men who strike each other with their knuckles in the other man's throat. So I feel like that's really your only option for November. Anyway, I would like to thank you guys for checking this video out. I hope your Chop Socky November, the back half of your Chop Socky November is beautiful. I hope you've pre-ordered The Killer, as I have. I'm hoping that it lands early and it will be in my hands in order to be the final film I view for Chop Socky November. We'll see if it lands early enough for us to watch that together this month. That would be lovely. I'd like to thank these people, these kind people, right over here in front of my fireplace, to thank them for being patrons of this fine channel. I appreciate you. And if you want to get your ass on that list before I come by your house with the hook swords and make you do 100 push-ups and teach you drunken style kung fu while brutalizing you with my drunken cane or whatever, you know what to do. Go to the website. You can do this. Enter the 36th chamber, my love. Have a fantastic fucking day. Go watch some Chop Socky movies. I'm going to drink the rest of this one in honor of my patrons. Peace, y'all. Yeah.